Hey, everybody. It's me again, Deneen L. Garrett. And today I have Lauren L.C. Wells. She is a founder and CEO. Lauren C. Wells is otherwise known as the Gut Health Bestie, a certified digestive health coach and founder of Hervival, a revolutionary holistic wellness company that focuses on empowering modern day women of color to prioritize self care, mindfulness, and gut health. And so we know that we talk about empowering women of color and we talk about pausing. And pausing for us is self care and the things that LC and I are going to talk about today. So, Lauren, LC Wells, tell us more about you.
Yes. Well, thank you, Deneen, for having me here. I'm super excited. And yeah, they call me the Gut Health Bestie out in these streets. I am from New York City, and I am very, very passionate when it comes to our overall well-being, more so because I feel like if we feel well, we do well. And in order to be impactful in this world, we have to be able to have the stamina to do so, right? When God has us up to big things, we need to make sure that we feel big enough to be able to show up. So I've been in the health and wellness industry for 10 years. And I coach women on being able to prioritize their spirit. I'm big on when it comes to optimal well-being on a soul level. So really coaching women on not only just their physical well-being, but their mental and spiritual well-being by prioritizing gut health. And I see that as a way, so with that way we could be more vibrant, healthy, and happy. I am a wife. I'm a proud auntie, godmommy. I don't have children yet, but those are my babies. And I love spending my quality time with friends and family.
I love all of that. And did you say soul? Did you say something about soul?
Optimal well-being on a soul level. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go right to that. What does that
Okay.
look like? And before we go there, so this conversation, the title of this is Gut Health equals Mental Health, the key to balance. So that's what this conversation is going to be about. The things that Elsie and I talk about are going to be centered around that. But let's jump right to soul health.
Yeah. So I like a lot of times I've like I said, I've been in the health and wellness industry for 10 years. I started out as a fitness trainer. And when you just focus on your like the physical, I'm really big on like, we as a human being, right? We have our mind, body, and spiritual components of ourselves. And I don't leave any of those things off the table
Mhm.
because as we move our body, sometimes we release stress and we have some clarity and it helps our mental. But a lot of times we don't really look at how we really feel from a soul level. Like a lot of us, especially black and brown women, right? We don't know how to check in. I remember like I'll never forget one time a mentor asked me, "How are you doing like on a soul level?" And
Mm.
that sparked something that I was just like, oh, like it hits you in
Right?
your chest, and you don't really like. I'm like, I don't know. Like you just think in your brain and your physical feeling, and a lot of us don't tap into the soul.
Mhm.
So at Hervival, we're really about reviving the mind, body, and spirit, so that way we could be feeling whole. And when I say whole, that's what I meant on a soul level. Like, how are you feeling? Um, on a deeper level when you just pause, not the things you got to do, but the who are you being?
Yeah.
So, the way how I like to talk about optimal well-being on a soul level is where women feel full, they feel complete, mind, body, and spirit. And the way how I've been called, and I'm a big believer, I'm very spiritual, big believer in God. What he called me to do is being able to do that from like the gut health perspective. And the reason why is because I personally feel like from my own personal experience as well as professional experience, um, I feel like our garden, like our ecosystem of our soul and who we are really centers in our gut.
Okay.
Right. So when you start studying like not only I studied the digestive system, right, as far as the gastrointestinal tract and how our hormones are like pretty much 70% of our immune system lives in our gut. About 90% of our function of our major organs lives within our gut, right? But if you study energetics, um, like literally when you look as far as our emotionals, like sometimes you ever had those times where something just don't feel right, or you feel frustrated, you just feel it right in your core, like in your gut, like
Mhm.
it's an epicenter. So that's where I was when I started, and I had so many health complications before I was even 30. I had thyroid dysfunction. I
Mm.
had so many digestive issues. I was diagnosed with 2 autoimmune diseases, and I didn't understand what was wrong. However, when I go to the doctor and get my blood work done, everything's fine. You're young. You're good. So we're not even going to talk about how Black women don't feel heard within the medical space, but it just pondered on me like, okay, how is all these things showing up, but I have these chronic pains? I don't feel right. I don't feel attached to myself. And when I started going on my own personal journey before I started going in professionally, that I have really gathered how much our gut and our brain is connected. That's known as the gut brain axis, and started to really ignite. Like, I found so much of the depths of myself within my gut. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, I was like, that's like the epicenter of our soul.
Yeah.
I started to get more connected, more downloads. My relationship with God started to really open up when I started to really pay attention to that space, and started getting into a lot of the energetic work, of being able to cleanse and detoxify, and also just bring my energy and my focus there. And like, just I felt like I found myself.
Oh,
So, and when I work with women and talk to them, I see the same thing. You know, a lot of healing happens, a lot of clarity starts to open up. They find their power and their purpose, through that work of being able to revive your mind, body, and spirit, but keeping the gut health in mind. So when I talk about optimal well-being on a soul level, that's what I mean.
so let's actually dig a little bit deeper here, right? Because
Mhm.
I can see that, right? I can feel that that would have such great impact. And just even thinking about myself, like right now, like I feel like I'm not how do I want to say it? um Not that I'm stuck in that area or clogged in that area, but I don't feel fully I don't know, release,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Like I feel like it's stuff sitting in my gut. Maybe
Mhm.
I'll say it like that. So for us, for those who are watching or if they're just listening, you know, I come to you and I come to you. What is like the first thing that we're doing together for you to help me to get to where I need to be to empower me through this holistic wellness? Like, what's one of the first things that we're going to talk about or, we're going to do together?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So our framework that we really focus on is the revive mind, body, spirit. So the first thing we do focus on is mind, like, shifting and changing the paradigm in the way that we see ourselves, the way we release, especially like a lot of times we focus so much on our body and like want to release weight and the aesthetics. So we really, really work on diving into the mental capacity of like releasing and letting go all of the previous things, diets, all those stuff, because a lot of women feel so defeated,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to just taking care of ourselves and our health. And it's just because society, the media just made us think so much in this aesthetic things and this calories in, calories out. When
Yeah.
we start really focusing on like, okay, even if you do particularly lose this weight and what you look like, why? Like, what's the deep roots of those things of, what do you want to feel? A lot of times they say when you want to be able to get somewhere, you got to go there first.
Mm.
Right. Like, you got to put yourself, like everything that we have acquired or done in our lives, it was in our mind first.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is that what we do and what we start is on the mind. You know what I mean? Like we really focus on reviving the mind, reassessing that, the paradigm shift of what you have seen yourself at one point, and kind of do I have some different methods that we discuss and talk about there.
So while you're there on that, so that's something that I'll say, and I'm going to be kind of, vulnerable throughout this conversation. And I mean, we can even just use, I'm that person who's coming to you, right? Because so I am stuck at that part with the mind. So
Mm-hmm.
back in July, I went to the doctor, when I walked away, I'm like, okay, I'm about to get this together, right? And recommended to lose weight in order to, you know, uh, be healthier. And so started on that, did end up losing probably over 20 pounds. And those bad boys are back. I got to a point where I don't even know what was going on, but I started reverting back to previous behaviors, right? And now
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like I've almost let it go to where it's fine. I'm just going to keep on eating those chips and dip and have 3 Pepsis and in a day, which I never did that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the point where it's like, okay, I've let it go and I'm disappointed in myself because I was doing so well. So I'm stuck.
Yep. That's the cycle. That's the cycle. And, when I start working with women and even women who come into our Hervival community and members, that like, a lot of times people are like, oh, I lost the weight. I lost 20 pounds and then I gained 30 back.
Mhm.
It's because we're recycling our old emotions. Like this is why I said the soul level is so important because
Yes.
we literally just focus on the aesthetics of okay, if I eat like this, I'll do this. But somewhere we never even really took ourselves fully on to one, release all of the things that we've done before. So that old thought are creeping up like, yeah, you did this before. How long can you stick with it? Like we have to really it's like I said, especially when it comes to Black women, and as we go back out here in this life, and we go back to lifing, right? Life be
Mhm.
life, and as people say, we have to come to the sense of self awareness and then self sabotaging behaviors,
Yeah.
right? So even what you just talked about, like that wasn't even nothing that you particularly did, but then you found yourself literally just flushing everything you worked for down the drain, like
Absolutely.
even beyond of what you work like this is not even what I do. And ask me how I know. I've been there, and I'm like, I don't even eat this. Like, what is
Right.
happening?
Yes. I don't even want
Like,
it.
I don't do this on a regular. Why
Yeah.
am I? Because we go through that, we have to start assessing the self-sabotaging behaviors and what's truly coming up. So that's why the reviving our mind is so important because we really go through as far as like what is the mindset assessment of who we are, the way we see ourselves, what self-awareness that we have, and then addressing those self-sabotaging behaviors and um, just shifting and then
Yeah.
starting to implement because a lot of us, especially most of us are like, we're high achievers, perfectionists, we're the first ones, most educated in our family, we doing big things. And the thing is, when it comes to this work of caring for our temple and really reviving our mind, body, and spirit, it is not a linear and not a just jump from A to Z. We
Mm.
have to we have to really come to the grips to understand. And this is life.
Yes.
This is what we do. So we have to be able to take small doses,
Mhm.
like bite size of things to live this life. We try to go to this full thing to get these results and get there. And then when we get there, sometimes we don't even know where our identity got lost throughout the process. So then that's when that self-sabotage and picking up things you don't even know what to do because we didn't evolve into this new way of becoming. You know what I mean? We didn't step into the being of the process. We just got into the doing. And we're
Yeah.
not human doings, we're human beings. So this is why when women who are ready and did all, I love when women did everything under the sun and they're so tired and frustrated. I'm like, great, because that's not what we're doing anymore. Like we're really, really digging deep into the depths and really get into the healing and really like, everybody talks about like breaking cycles. I don't believe in breaking because all the things that we have done has served us in some way, but
Yeah.
we're starting anew. You know what I mean? Starting anew into a whole you. So you're not the only one, as far as like kind of like you don't like and then sometimes you just get so frustrated with yourself that's where we give up because we
Yeah.
start picking up behaviors that we're like I don't even know what I'm doing, maybe it's just not for me, like I'm just gonna go ahead and just stick to what I know and then we don't trust ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves. And then, when here I come talking about, gut health and, we're supposed to really tap into following our gut instincts, but our gut don't even trust us because we
Mm,
didn't for it. So
yeah.
at the revive your mind is like probably the most important, and a lot of us don't stick there because it's just kind of we get busy and
Yeah.
let life pull us in a way. But I promise for the women, even myself, like, I've put myself through this, and there's times where I evolve and I grow into new spaces that I have to reignite myself through a revive mind body spirit process, because we elevate, right?
Yes.
So, when we think about elevation, I like to think about an elevator, like as we go from on ground zero and then work our way, we have to assess each new level,
Hmm.
where we're at. And the things that was once a challenge that was above us is now below us as we're at this new level. And we have to start, adapting to the new change. So that's why, um, you know, really, really gathering a mindset assessment of where you are right now and today and what you're ready for and where you're looking to grow for
Yeah.
is key than just, all right, let me just start this diet again. Like
Hmm.
it's beyond. I really, really urge people all the time, let's go beyond the diet, because when we get to really seeing ourselves in our mindset and the goal of who we want to be and become and the why we want to, right? That's when the habits just start to come into place. Like it's so funny, like literally sitting here talking about this because I didn't live this life. Like I tell people all the time, I probably worked out before I got into fitness because I had to go to the military. I try and get my student loans paid for. Okay. And when I got into the military, I had to work out. So it wasn't like this was just something I wanted to do. But however, I had a why, right? I wanted my student loan. It was just societal reasons, and that was that. So yeah, I started getting into workout and my body started to change or whatever. Long story short, I didn't end up going into the military. I got injured right before I left. However, I kept sticking to the lifestyle of like working out because it was very helpful through the most challenging times that I was experiencing.
Okay.
Like that was devastating to like train. I trained for 9 months for the Navy and then got kicked out because I had an injury,
Mm,
and like that just threw my whole life for a loop. But the one thing that stuck with me was physically like still working out.
yeah.
So it became like a new way. Everybody has their different ways of how they come into, living this holistic lifestyle, being what I like to call. And it may be from having a health scare and they had to change. It
So
may
let's
have been
no,
okay.
no, let's kind of like talk about that, right? So I hear you had a reason, and the reason really overall was a physical reason, right? What about those women who don't necessarily have that? Like me, like I have my moments where, oh my God, I'm going to the gym, I'm there all the time, I'm loving it, loving how I look, and then not anymore, right? So
Mhm.
the women that are coming through with the mind, first of all, would you say that the mindfulness is the area that you spend the most time with on average with the women you're coaching?
I would say it's the most challenging part. Like once
Okay.
women get past that and start seeing the reason that like the other habits start to trickle in and they form a new way of identity for themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say it's probably the most Bridget part at times. Especially when people did all the other doings, like, they did these detoxes, they did these workouts and stuff like that or whatever. Um, I would say that's the probably what takes up most time.
The most time, which makes sense, right? It seems because the mind is like key. Once you get your grip on that, then everything else is smoother selling, not necessarily smooth selling, but smoother selling. So when you think about the women that you work with on a whole, right? What would you say like their three top reasons that kept them going through mindfulness?
That's good. I think what it was they started because like most of the women I work with are, high achieving, got big goals, big shoes to fill, like, so their why is already there. Like, you know
Got
what I
it.
mean? Because they tried all the things and they're feeling tired and they're not able to keep up. And then we creeping up in age. And like, if I'm feeling like this now, how
Mm.
am I going to keep moving forward what I want to do?
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so that why is mostly there once we identify that. So that locks them in. But the three, what did you just say?
Like the three motivators that
The
keep
three
you going,
motivators.
right?
Okay.
Because we
Yeah.
know
So I
that
would
this
say,
area is tough, right? You just said it's challenging. There are some who just give up, a lot who give up at this state, right? So the ones who keep going, like, what do what
what
comes to
was that?
mind? Mm-hmm.
I think it was because even like I always say, once they start this, all roads lead back to it. Because even if like maybe they stop, they see like, okay, this is still, it's counterintuitive,
Mm-hmm.
me trying to skip the process of these things. But I think once they really establish like that core why of like, I need to be able to have the energy, the mental capacity to fulfill these big goals I'm trying to fill.
Okay.
That would be the biggest one. The two others, I would say the results that start to come, because even still, like some of them end up seeing like, dang, like it really wasn't that hard. Like
Yeah.
once I finally saw, like I lost 7 pounds and didn't realize it, just
Mm-hmm.
because I was able to unpack the heaviest weight I was feeling, which was partially in my mind. You know what I mean? That I created stress for myself, because when we create stress, we spark our cortisol levels and our body starts to store, fat. So I have seen where literally women didn't do nothing too different besides maybe drink more water and learned how to shift their mind and combat the stress that was overbearing for them.
Yeah.
So then the results start to come in. That third one, I would say it starts to get them to introduce a side of them that they didn't even know that they always wanted to get to. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
this feels, because a lot of the women, the name of Hervival is really about her revival, shifting from that survivor's mode that we constantly feel suffocated in, but that's all we know. That's all we grew up with. So when they start to see that and get to that other side of that piece that starts to feel for them, and they start having that grasp of that sign of that sound mind, is almost kind of like they got a little dose and they want to keep going. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because it's like, this is feeling good. This is what I've been wanting to go to. And that emotional intelligence and that maturity that starts to unravel, that's what like locks them in. I would say when the women get to those three things of the why they want to be able to pour back to themselves and see, and most of it is because we got big goals, we got big things we
Yeah.
want to fill, kids or don't have kids at all. So now we really want to be able to care for ourselves so we can have that, or business goals, career level goals, or whatever. And the other ones is more of like seeing results that really wasn't as hard as versus the years of hard work that they were doing. And then that third one of I like this type of sound mind. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like this piece that this is doing. How about if I lean into more of this?
So to kind of just, level set or just wrap it up for those who are watching or listening, ideally the women that you're working with, as you said, they're already achievers. They're already women who are working at a very high level. So they're used to setting goals and putting in the work to make it happen. So this is just another type of goal for them. Again, goals for these type of women, they're used to setting goals and reaching and exceeding those goals. And this is just another one. And the way that they get through it, key number one, as with so many things in life, if not everything in life, is the why. Being very secure in your why of wanting to do this thing is what keeps them going. When they're secure in their why and how doing these things will get them to that why, is what keeps them going. And so even if a person is not, high performing, high potential woman, still, if they get clear about their why, they can still be successful and they can still, take care of themselves well, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's women and stuff that's in our community that is retired vets, and they done, they just chilling, or maybe they just work and they just want to have the energy to be a mom. Not just work. I'm not trying to
Right,
make
right.
that seem like it's less, but they're not looking to have like big businesses and make big impacts in society. They just want to be able to live a more abundant, peaceful life for themselves. So that why isn't necessarily a tangible thing. It's more about why you're worthy of it.
Mm. Oh,
That's
I
where it
like
really
that.
comes.
Okay, hold on now. We've added something different. So our
Because it's like,
worthiness.
why are you worthy? Like, why is that?
Right.
Not just why of like, oh, I want to I
Ooh,
want to combat global warming, or I want to be able to impact the world, or feed more children, or I want to be I want to have a successful 7-figure business, or it's not really that, but more so, why are you even worthy to be able to do those things? Like, what I mean? Like that, it centers back to ourselves.
absolutely. But I like this, right? Because this is something that I don't think we tap into a lot, right? And I've had different conversations or even I've seen responded to something and where like personally somebody was like, smile at yourself in the mirror. I don't really look at myself in the mirror. Like I may look at myself to the extent, oh, I'm brushing my teeth or whatever, but I don't look at myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
I don't do that, right? And so am I worthy of being healthier? Am I worthy of releasing all the things that are keeping me from stuff, right?
Hmm.
That is something for us to really to ask and to answer and to
Yep.
get on a soul level, right? Because now we're going deeper than just out there. And I think that that is so important for us to look at it in a different way and really see how it connects to our deepest being. LC is what you're bringing to the forefront. And
Yeah.
I want to stick around that. I want to stick around the soul level. I want to stick around us being worthy to
Hmm.
to live the lives that we want to live, to prioritize self-care and pivoting our mindsets and getting our guts healthy.
Yeah, it goes back to that being, because when we look at all the achievements of things, that's still from a ego space of just the doing,
Hmm.
versus like you said, our deepest being. It makes it easy for the non-negotiables. Like, like, okay, no, I can't do this, or I can't spend myself around the time. I can't, do these specific things because it does not tap into like, who I am, who I'm wanting to become. It's not connected to my deepest being. So like when you talked about the mirror, like mirror work is in our framework. You know what I mean? Because like when you look at yourself, what do you see? What do you feel? And if you don't know, how about we romanticize that? Because if we want to do anything to attract anything, we got to be that ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm never surprised when I have women who go through this work. I see them attracting money that they didn't even like, people recommended them, or they got promotions. Like it just comes and they're like, I didn't
Yes.
even have to work for it. So when we tap into that, we don't have to work as hard. Like, and a lot of us, especially us as Black women, we've been working hard for a long time.
Right.
I mean, like super young, just get so much into the doing. And I invite people, what if the hardest part that you really work on is yourself? And then
Hmm.
everything starts to fall into place. You get tied into what really connects to you and your own spiritual thing. Everybody has their different backgrounds in religion. When I say I'm spiritual, I mean outside, like, non-denominational outside, and whatever is the highest, Lord within you that
Yeah.
you find. But that, like, in order to find that, that's why I love what you talk about, the power and pause. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because that's when we start to see, we're so busy. Ah, man, I just remember the days ripping and running the city. I didn't even know what I needed and what I wanted. I just needed to get to where I gotta go. You know
Right.
what I mean? That mindset is literally just like a running machine until life sits your butt down and things
Which
happen.
it does. Uh-huh.
Do you
It
get knocked
will.
down?
Uh-huh.
And that was me. Like I said, I had
Yes.
series of injuries. I talked about the whole thing with the Navy because I was just trying to get student
Hmm.
loan. Didn't even ask myself if that's truly what I wanted. I didn't start
Yes.
believing in myself until that time. And I was like, man, I really shifted. I didn't realize how powerful my mind was. Because I was like, if I could get myself that ready to go and fight someone's war, because like this was like 2010, you know what I mean? So it was like right after the market crash, all that stuff. And I was like, okay, if I get deployed, I'm ready for it. Like, I was like, man, if I could prepare my mind so much for somebody else, what I never done that for myself. What would that look like if I do that
Yeah.
for myself? So and then like I said, when you don't do that, you will get pushed back. You will get paused. This is where ailments, diseases, and all types of things start to happen because we're literally just I like to say run amok sometimes. And then
Mhm.
we don't understand why these things happen. If we don't take that pause, we will get pushed into a state where we got
Yeah.
to take the pause
Yeah.
longer than we need. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have to get an understanding of what a pause looks like, right? And not think that, oh, self-care is just going to get a massage. No, it's so much more than that, right? It is just taking time and just being still. It's
Yep.
journaling, right? It's looking at yourself and having a conversation with yourself, or affirmations, looking in the mirror. It's all these different things. And we have to take the time to really investigate that, right? And explore the power in the pause, explore self-care and wholeness and all those things. And I have to tell you, so I was supposed to go have my follow-up with the doctor in April, and I moved it to May. And I did that because last time I saw her, I'm like, yeah, I was in the thick of my, eating well, and moving, and losing weight. So I was releasing the weight that had me
I love that you said releasing instead of
right?
losing. Go ahead.
No, that is so key. And it's a mindful shift.
The mind shift.
Mindset
Yeah, you guys
shift,
go
right?
release. Yeah.
And so, like I told you, the last several months, I've been going in the other direction and gaining, gaining, gaining. And so I'm like, oh, let me move it out, because that gives me a little bit more time to get myself together, which I haven't got myself together. So I go to see my doctor this week. And I said, you know what? I'm going to keep the appointment, and whatever is because I need to be clear about where I'm at and where I need to start from. And if that means going back on medication, then it is what it is. And I need to do the things that I was doing before to get myself healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Now,
that's
Deneen,
that's where I'm at.
one of the things that I heard you say, like, when you saw, like, okay, I got something coming up where I have to report to or talk to my doctor. This is why I really love where community comes into place. And this is why at Hervival, we curate that space of community, because instead of having from doctor visit to doctor visit check-in, what about daily visits and
Mhm.
check-ins with your own, like-minded sisters who are
Yeah.
also on that journey. And I've seen these women, like I'm talking about busy moms with 3 kids under 3,
Mhm.
running businesses, caring for their parent, everything, and saw how they finally started having a routine, for their wellness and their self-care beyond, like I said, the manis, petties, and all of those things. Like self-care is more about really getting to, honoring yourself, honoring rest. And that consistent check-in, and then we have our accountability calls a couple of times out of the month. We get ourselves together more than that next quarterly visit to our doctor or annual visit to our doctor. So that's why I always say, like, what if you do have those constant check-ins with the community? The key to living holistically healthy is consistency. And to me, I feel like one of the accountabilities and supports to that is community.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and that's kind of how we met. So we didn't meet physically, but we did. We were
We were
both
in a
in the same.
community
Yeah, we
space.
were both in the same space, and it was a space all about community, right? It was about growing and living your best life and being your best self. In different ways that was coming at us, and so absolutely, right. That whole experience was like it was a gift that keeps giving, because we were fed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it kept coming, like people LinkedIn and here and there, and like us, we're having this conversation now. And I have a new friend out in LA who I'm probably going to go see later in May. Like all the different things that keep coming, but it all came from community, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
what you just talked about, the community. Yes, we need to be in commune with other people. We need to be in commune with other Black women, women of color, whomever our circle is. We need to have that because it helps us to live our best selves. It helps us to
Yeah.
live a dream lifestyle. So with the last couple minutes, what do you want to leave the audience with? Like this, the podcast, the YouTube is all about empowering women of color, right? And about living dream lives and pausing. So what would you like to leave the audience with?
My biggest thing that I leave the audience with is really just taking out that moment to pause and just assess your worthiness. You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean to you? If you haven't took time, and then revisit that often, because like what my worthy was, 6 years or so, 5 years ago, one of my mentors always said, you are who you are today based on the thoughts of who you were 5 years ago.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
who I am from 5 years ago, my worthiness is different. Peace and quiet is huge now. You know what I mean? Like, and needed for me to be able to unpack. So I would really invite you all to take that moment of worthiness. And if you are looking for a space in a community to support you, I would love to have you a part of our community and our membership at Hervival. You can go to hervival.co/membership and learn more about us.
Thank you so much, Lauren Elsie Wells. I have appreciated this conversation. And yeah, I, made it about me because
No, your story is probably 10 million
right,
women else.
exactly. I'm
Yeah,
making it about
we
me because I
gotta have
know that there's plenty
conversations.
of women, plenty of me's out there, right? We definitely know that there's plenty of me's. That's why you and what you're doing exists. So I so appreciate you. And thank you so much for tapping in, everybody. Enjoy the rest of
Thank
your day.
you. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.